Hello, redesigners. It's Cece from Cece Restyled, and I am a brand ambassador for Redesign with Prima. I'm also a furniture artist in the Midwest where it's snowy and gross, but I do know that it's a lot worse out there in some places, so I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'll be okay with a little snow, or a lot of snow. I'll be okay with a lot of snow. If you're hopping on, say hello, let us know where you're tuning in from. And yeah, hi everyone. Hello. It's Thursday at noon, so we're gonna do some fun things, redesign with Prima, and today that will include stenciling with Decor Wax and one of the new stencil designs from the most recent release. It is called, let's see, oh God, I can never remember, Flourish Emblem, okay? So, Flourish Emblem, I love this stencil. I love any sort of swirly, damask, scrolly, baroque, rococo, any of those kind of really frilly repeating patterns I love. They go on everything, I think. Hey Roz. Hey everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to be actually layering my transfers over my decor stenciling. I'm using Decor Wax, which is a Redesign with Prima oil-based wax. Okay, so when you're layering stencils, you don't want to, when you're layering your transfer on top of stencils with Decor Wax, you want to wait till it's completely cured. Okay, like you can, it'll be dry to the touch very soon, depending on how thick you put it on or you apply it. It could take a few hours to be dried to the touch all the way through. How do I want to say this? I would give it about 24 hours before you do a transfer over a oil-based product like Decor Wax. Oil-based gilding wax like Decor Wax. Other oil-based products you want to wait like 3 days, but we're not going there today. So I have a side over here that I already did yesterday, so that's how I'm going to show you. We're going to do our stenciling on this side, okay, right here. And then we're going to move on over and we're fast forward, pretend like that's already cured, and we're going to do our transfers on top of that. So I'm really excited because I didn't get this transfer pre-release, so I know, so sad. Cry me a river, right? I didn't get this one, so I finally got it in and I get to use it. I love that it's got colors, but it's still neutral enough that I bet it goes with lots of different colors. I could see this with like purple. I could see everything with purple, who am I kidding? But I could see this with a nice purple, or a lime green, or a blush color, or a cream color if you're feeling a little neutral. And then I think I'm gonna layer in some Burgundy Rose Garden, and you're probably like, why? What? Those don't go together. Those don't go together. What is she thinking? Well, they're gonna go together, and they're gonna be fine. So let's go ahead and get started. So, like I said, we got our stencil. Okay, these new stencils are fabulous. They're the larger stencils, the older larger stencils that I believe most of them are retired, were huge. They are a pain to store. I still trip over them every time I go to wash my brushes out or put anything in the utility sink. I trip over them. They fall off the hangers. I step on them and I end up just getting mad and throwing them across the room. But I keep mine on paint hangers on a little, well, I used to keep them on a cable, but the cable broke and fell. You can use like a clothing rack if you have some space in a corner or something. Clothing rack from Amazon for like $19 if you have a lot of stencils. If you don't, you can get those little clips on the wall. You know, like they have in the aisles at the grocery store that hold like random items you see and are like, oh, I need that. They're like little clippy jobs that go up on a stick almost, and you can put doors, or you could DIY, just buy some clips and screw them into the wall and clip them like that. Okay, so anyways, these are a perfect size to store, and they're large enough that when you have to do a bigger area, you're not like, oh my God, I got to do every single one of those stencils. But they're small enough, like I said, to store and to do on smaller projects, but big enough for bigger projects. They're just right. Okay, so I usually put spray adhesive on the back. I lightly mist it on the back and let it dry to a tack. Since I did the other side yesterday, it's still a little bit tacky, enough for Decor Wax. If I was painting if I was using paint with my stencil, I would apply a little bit more and let it dry to a tack. So you want it to be sticky, but not wet, not saturated. You don't want it to stick completely to your piece. You want it to just grab a little bit, okay? So, and I got my tape, of course, because you gotta hold it in place unless you have 3 hands. I don't have 3 hands. Or do I? You'll never know. So let me get a little bit tight, figure out where I'm gonna put this bad boy. So I kind of wanna be somewhat symmetrical to the other side, and I'm not much of a symmetrical design type gal, but when it comes to these types of things, like a background texture, if it's not quite right, then that drives me insane. So I'm gonna go ahead and start let's see, I don't need to open this door, do I? Yeah, I'm gonna open this door. That way I can line this up right up there at the top and not have to worry about getting wax on my top lip. I'll move the camera so you can see here, and just soon as I tape it on. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Boom. And boom. Okay, so I'm lining up. See how like the design cuts off at the top? There's that flat spot, and same on the side. To make sure I have my stencil straight. I mean, you can get a ruler and all that fun stuff, but I just measure the flat straight cut part and this flat cut straight cut part to the edge of my piece. I mean, if that's applicable. If you have something to line it up to, I'm lining it up to the edges of my piece. That way I know it's straight-ish. Straight as I'm gonna get it anyways. Put my tape on. And I learned the hard way. There's this little cutout that says Redesign with Prima, the little logo thing, and I learned the hard way to make sure you either cover that up, cut it off, or just pay attention and don't get too entirely focused on what you're doing to where you stencil Redesign with Prima on your piece. You can if you want to, but you don't have to, okay? That's not a thing. Yes, I love this stencil. It's great. Yeah, and taping it off, because if you cut it off, then that leaves you very, very little, less than that much on the edge. I don't ever understand why anyone designs stencils without at least an inch on the edge. I mean, I guess you could tape that too, but see, like areas like this, I can't tape it down. And I'm not gonna tape over my little graphic jobby here because it'll pull it up. So if you end up taping, oh, there's my tape. If you end up if you end up wanting to transfer, if you end up wanting to stencil after you've transferred, that's okay. Just don't tape down onto your transfer. It'll pull it up. So I like to do mine before for a couple of reasons. I like them underneath as a background texture and overlapping, but I've done it on top of before and it's fine. Just don't tape over your stencil. And if you use spray adhesive on the back of your stencil, I can't get my words right today. Don't tape over your transfer, it'll pull it up. And don't tape over, oh my God, I give up. I'm just gonna do this. I can't even talk. If you use spray adhesive on the back of your stencil, don't put that on your transfer directly, because if you have enough adhesive on there, it may pull it up. There, I got that out. I'm just gonna do that. Pull it up here. I'm really trying to get this taped, aren't I? Don't want it to move on me. Okay, so I can feel my spray adhesive grabbing just a little bit, which is what I want. Just a little. So now I got my, now I got my Decor Wax. So you can pick any color wax you want. I'm using Eternal, which is gold. And they come in these little tubies now, okay? Tubes, these metal tubes. And there's supposedly they keep your product longer, which I'm a fan of, but I don't like the tubes. I'm not very good with them because I'm like a kid. I squeeze from the middle until it's almost empty, and then when I start rolling it up from the bottom, the sides crack and split, and all the what's left pops out the sides. I haven't done that with these. I'm just saying from experience using these little metal tubes, that's what happens. So I kept my empty tin, and I just squeeze a little bit of the wax into my old tin. Okay, so I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying you can. That's what I do, because I still like my tin, so I get the best of both worlds. And a little bit goes a long way, okay? A long way. You don't need much at all. In fact, what I just squeezed out plus what was in there is probably going to last me like a year. That'll last me a year. I think this might actually be the first can of Eternal I ever had. It's probably about 2 years old. 2.5 years old. I don't know. Anyways, Eternal, get it while you can. It's the king of all gold waxes. It's the king. It's so perfect, bright, shimmery, brilliant. It's what you want in a gold for your deets or stenciling. Okay, so I'm gonna grab I like to use a round brush. I usually use like a round wax brush, a small one about this size. And this one I just happened to grab because all the other ones were dirty. But I just kind of like you're applying makeup, okay? You want to get it on the end of your brush, load it up. And then I like to scrape the excess off. You know, makeup, you kind of blow away the excess. You can't do that with the Decor Wax. So I either take it on the edge of the can and just kind of get those chunks, if there's chunks broke up. Because sometimes it gets a little chunky when it's dry, you know, sits in open like this for a while. So get the chunks broken up. Otherwise, they get in the crevices of your stencil and they look raised kind of when you pull your stencil up. Or I take the lid and I just pounce the lid like that to get, you know, kind of dispersed through my brush, okay? It's the little things. So I'm going to put on my stencil. I'm not going to do like I want it a little bit of age, like an old aged wallpaper that's kind of not distressing, but like, I don't know, peeling up or coming off in some places. So I'm not going to do completely, like if this were paint, I would just fill in my stencil, you know. Most people do. They fill in. They want a nice, clean, crisp stenciling job. That's not what we're going for. So it can be a little imperfect. It can be patchy, you know, patchy little areas missing here and there for like an aged look. That's fine. That is fine for this. And I'm doing this directly onto my paint. My paint has been cured overnight. I mean, I would do this when it's dry to the touch, or at least a couple hours, so that you don't pull up paint with your stencil or your tape. But sometimes I'm in a hurry and I just do it when it's dry to the touch, and I pull and pray when I take my stencil up, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just dabbing it on a little bit more firmly, a little more aggressively than I would my makeup. Unless I'm mad that day, then I just slap that stuff on. But you want to get it down in there, down in those little spaces. And over here, since I got my moldings, oh, I didn't even talk about my molds. Oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, first of all, let's start here. This thing was completely flat. Well, the doors are a little bit concave, but other than that, plain flat fronted drawers, no real detail, okay? I mean, it's a really pretty piece, but it didn't have any detail, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a blank canvas if I ever saw one. So it's this whole entire blank canvas, and I'm like, well, obviously molds, so I pick a couple molds and I start to make them, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need this one too, and this one, and this one, and this one. And then I realized I could use this piece would be perfect for some designs I put together. For Valentine's Day, I made this graphic file with like 3 different pages of graphics for my Facebook friends, and I put it on my website that could be downloaded and printed for decoupage, you know, if you print your own water slides or rub-on transfer. Oh, shoot, I put too much spray adhesive on the back of this. Now it's pulling up my paint, I think. Or it's pulling it, yeah. I'll just touch that up. Well, that's a first. Oh, no, it's pulling up the veneer. Oh, that's even better. Oh, great. Okay, well, we're going to have to fix that. Funny how it wasn't, it's like not even damaged. It's just that one little spot. Okay, well, lightly missed the spray adhesive on the back of your stencil. Apparently I didn't go so light. That's the first time that's ever happened. Kind of a bummer. But it's okay. I can fix it, right? We can fix it. So what was I saying? Okay, so my graphic files. All right, let me line this up real quick. I can't talk and line up at the same time. We're going to line up our stencil. Wait, what? Okay. So I created them. They're on my website for download, and you can print them to regular paper for decoupage. You can take them to a printer and get them printed on a poster for decoupage, or you can, print them on water slide paper, or rub off paper, or tissue paper, whatever. Anyways, so it's free. I just felt like being nice for Valentine's Day and doing something for, my Facebook friend or my Facebook and website friends. So, anyways. So I was like, I'm really liking these designs. So I went ahead and I printed my own and decided I want to use them on this piece. So I did. And that's kind of where I got some of the elements from in my molds. So my molds, and I'll show you here in a second after we're done stenciling this side. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just continue on. So I was looking at, the designs, and there's some little skulls, and there's some lockets and some keys and some hearts and all those fun things that I love because they're happy but dark at the same time. I love it. So I was like, oh my gosh, I have molds with all of these things, wings, clocks, all these things. So I basically pulled like what I thought would go with my designs, which have a lot of the similar things from some of the molds. Actually didn't use any flowers. Nope, none. Not a single flower. That's interesting. So anyways, I went a little cray-cray and I made all the molds, and I used, in the end, I used 13 different silicone mold designs for this piece. So I thought it was more, but then I realized some of them were duplicates because I buy them in 2s and 3s so that if I'm making a lot of molds, I don't have to sit there and make each one individually. I can at least make 2 or 3 at a time. So there's a tip for you. Buy multiple molds. So if you don't have to make 1,000 molds at once, you could make 500. Okay, I think we're good here. And let's see if that pulls up. Nope, not pulling up anything now. Got that taken care of. Great. All right, so I think we need two more little impressions, but those will be quick ones. So anyways, you see how pretty the Decor Wax Stenciling is, other than peeling up your veneer that was perfectly fine before you painted it? That's my fault. Apparently I put too much glue on it. When it hits the light, it's super, super shiny and metallic-y, but I guess the light right here is not so great for that. Let me see. I saw a question. This is a new stencil. It's just came out a couple Fridays ago. Was it that real? Yes, a couple Fridays ago. It's called, I forget every time what it's called. It's called Flourish Emblem. I'm using this instead of stamps because it'll be much faster. Plus the stamps don't come in this design that I wanted. I use this on the side. On the sides of this piece, I did raised stenciling with this stencil. So I wanted to use the same design as the raised stenciling on this side. And I might show it to you, might not. I don't like showing people things before they're done. Because it's not done. I don't have it like partially painted on each side. What the heck? I'm so bad at this lining up of the stencil thing. What is going, wait, is that it? Yeah, I think so line it up. Little darling, line it up. All right, well, that's not going. Why is this not lining up? Here, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna do this one, because that lines up easier. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe? Wow, lining up stencils is not fun, you guys. There we go. Now we can have fun because we got it lined up, roughly. Okay, we're just gonna do a little bit here at the bottom to kind of make that stencil not look like it just cuts off. We don't want it to look like it just cut off, so. Okay. But speaking of the stamps, there are some, I did think about using stamps on this piece because there's some really great, remember how I told you I love all things scrolly and Baroque and over the top and repeating patterns of damask and flourishes and all the frilly fun things I love. And the stamps come in a couple, 3 different frilly guys. So I love the stamps. I'm excited. I use them every chance that I get, but not everything really calls for the stamps. It has to be the right size, the right surface area, shape, all that. Okay, I think. Oops. We got that. Well, we're gonna go with it. Okay, so gotta hold it on there. And some spots where you can't tape down, you just gotta hold it down. Okay, and then there we go, that'll work. I got a little bit of a chunk. Just gonna take my finger and kind of swoop that chunk up a little bit. And let's see, I got a little bit down here where see how I got a little bit down there where I don't want it necessarily? Well, I might in the end, I might go around this trim, maybe not. I'm just gonna, you can either take a little bit of clear wax, sort of rub that in and it will sort of kind of erase it depending on how long you've let it sit there and how thick it is. Or you can just, I'm gonna let it cure and I'm just gonna dab some paint over it. That's not a big deal. But yeah, so there's that. And then fix that stupid spot of veneer up top. Okay, so my molds. Let's talk about the molds, shall we? Let's talk about molds, baby. And let's see. How many can you name? Yeah, we're not gonna play that game. That'll take forever. But I do want to point out a couple of my favorites and the new one. So, let's see. This is one of the new ones. Oh my gosh, I'm so terrible with names. Is it Victorian Scrolls or Vintage Scrolls or something like that? I'm awful. Why am I so bad with these mold names and stencil names? I'm good with the transfer names though. This one is Tulum Keyholes. Okay, that's a new one to me. I've been wanting it and I finally got it. Vintage Scrolls, is that what it is? I think it's Vintage Scrolls. Anyways, I like it. Yes, it's a zebra, it doesn't say what kind. It's a round 1-inch, good for like spindles and chairs and things like that where you have to, you know, and wax and Decor Wax Stenciling. Okay, let's see. This is a Finnever mold. It's, well, 2 of them. This one is called Art Nouveau and this one is called Wings and Hearts or something. And then this one is called Regal. It's got a crown and some like wreath type dealies on it. And then I've got Elysian Clockworks, these little clocks here, more wings. These are little swirlies from Thornton Medallion, which is my first mold and my most favorite mold to this day. Grenville Crest, Granville, this got some swirlies in it. And then Italian Villa Scrolls. This was actually one of my first molds, so I got that together with the Thornton medallion. But this is a great one here, especially if you like all the crazy Frenchy type Baroque deals that I like. So so there's a few of them, and then more Tulum Keyholes here. So we're gonna fast forward to our already cured piece of where we've stenciled with our Decor Wax. Okay, so I did this yesterday. So it's cured, it's ready to be transferred on, because if you don't do it when it's cured, the oil base will it can render your adhesive on the back of your transfers useless, and it won't stick. It'll just come up. So again, in case you missed it earlier, we are using Life in Full Bloom and Burgundy Rose Garden. Okay, I don't exactly have a plan, just kind of almost sort of know. I think I know that I want to come in. So originally I wanted to do this top corner and then the bottom. See in this light how pretty, how much more shimmery the Decor Wax is? This light's better, huh? You can see it better? Yeah, it was kind of flat in the other light, right? So I originally wanted to do opposing corners, so top, right, bottom, left, or flipped on your screen, but top, right, bottom, left. Then I was looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I might just want to come in and bulk up some on each side here. So here and then on the other side, and then maybe some inside the circle. These are those graphics I was telling you about. I designed. They're on my website for free download for anybody. But I want to put some Prima, Redesign with Prima flowers in there somewhere, because I can't get enough of them. And I printed these on my own transfer paper, which is fine when you're in a pinch and you need something custom or specific, but they're not that ideal. You have to paint, you have to use them on light colors. Okay, so you can't, if you use them on dark colors, they don't really show up. It's just, I prefer already made transfers. They're much easier, but sometimes a gal just has an idea stuck in her head and she's got to get it out. You know what I'm saying? Okay, thank you. The colors I used, what's that? Nope, not doing that. Okay, the colors I used are, let's see, I used, where are they? Okay, so I don't have Vera at the Ballet up there. That's the pink. Okay, so this pink is Vera at the Ballet. And I used Italian Ivory here in the center. And I kind of dabbed a little bit of Arctic White on the Italian Ivory to give it a little bit of texture. And then, what does that say? Misty Fjord. That's pretty much the base color. Vintage Moss I used to create some shadowing. And then from my Remix collection, I used Plums and Roses and Guac and Roll to do this kind of like moldy looking business over here. Like the moldy looking stuff is Guac and Roll and Plums and Roses. Okay. From Paint Couture. Okay. So those are all Paint Couture colors. Paints, colors, etc. Okay, so let's get into the transferring, the fun part. So I am going to go ahead and lay out my transfers here. And let's see. Like I said, you're probably thinking, those are not going to go together. What is she doing? What is she thinking? Those don't match. But guess what? There's a gonna. So this is Life in Full Bloom. Right? Ain't she a beaut? So see how my creams and my green and my like blushish, pinkish colors, those all go. That's how I picked my paint colors. I picked them to coordinate with this transfer and then my graphics that I printed for, you know, the piece and for others. Okay, so let's lay our transfers out. If you are not familiar with transfers, or you haven't tried your first one, or you're just starting out and maybe you've tried one but you don't still have it down, or you're still pretty new, I'm not going to explain every little thing about applying transfers in this video, but in this group, in the Redesign with Prima group, if you do a video search, or search, I think it's called media, you hit media and then videos, you'll find lots of videos that will show you how to apply transfers and give you all the tips and tricks and the basics and what to do and what not to do. I also have some on my YouTube channel, which is Cece Restyled, if you can't find any in the group that are working for you. But I'm pretty confident you will. You will. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our, I want to start here with these because these are like the main, you know, the main transfer. The Burgundy Rose Garden is really just A, for a little bit of filler, and B, because I wanted to bring in some of the purples from Plums and Roses that I used, or the moldy spots, if you would rather call them those. So my idea was, like I said, to kind of come in, instead of doing these in the corners, I wanted to do each side kind of in the middle. So these happen to be in the perfect configuration for that. I mean, some are facing the wrong way, but we can just hack those off and reposition them if we want. So let me think for a second. Let me show you. All the transfers come in, well, not all of them. Most of them come in a kind of piece together look. Okay, so these are 3 pieces, and I can piece them together, and I can make one big image. I can slap that on the front of my dresser or whatever you want, chest of drawers. Boom, done. Okay. However, I be liking to cut them up and customize them. Okay, this is what I do. I like it. It's the fun part for me. So this happens to be a perfect little cluster for the side right here, which is how I envisioned it. Okay, I envisioned it right here on the side coming this way. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. And then that would mean that the other side would be perfect for the other side, right, of my piece. Head upside down. So once I can get that stupid veneer piece fixed, see? Perfect. It's like it was meant to be. Okay, straight edge, boom, done. However, like I said, I want to add in some Burgundy Rose Garden. And then that leaves me, if I do the side, that side, and then that leaves me all these pretty flowers for filling in my center. Why is she putting so many flowers? She's going to go overboard. That's overkill. Okay, well, that's how I do things. I like overkill. Okay, I like over the top. So you don't have to do over the top, but if you're layering transfers or using multiple designs, it's the same process, right? Okay, so then I got my Burgundy Rose Garden. Let me go ahead and cut out this piece is going here, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out so I can hold it up and see how much space I have and room I have for a Burgundy Rose Garden. So it comes with all this awesome text. It's gonna be facing the wrong way. We don't want text going up and down, right? So I'm just gonna cut that off for now. I'm gonna keep it. I may use it on this piece. I may use it on a different piece, but either way, I'm gonna use it at some point. Or at least keep it so that I have the opportunity to use it if I need it at some point. And gently lay that aside. I actually have a tube at home that is all text pieces that I've cut off from transfers, mostly Imperial Garden because it has so much text in the background. That's one of my favorite transfers for, like, if you were like, which transfer do you think goes with the most everything? I would say Imperial Rose Garden. I've used the background text from that transfer on so many different projects. I cut it off and I have a tube full of it that I keep. So when I'm looking at a piece and I'm like, this needs something. What does it need? I'm like, it needs a little carte postale on it. Yeah. Right. So let's see. We'll line that up right just like that and see. So right off the bat, I can tell that. So this is going to be going the wrong way, this little greenery, and so is this. Well, I guess that one's not so bad. This one's going the wrong way, right? Does that look weird sticking out like that? Well, in any case, we need room for our Burgundy Rose Garden, so I think I'm going to cut those off and keep those. And I'm actually going to lay down my Burgundy Rose Garden flowers underneath. I'll show you those in a minute. They're a little bit larger. They're in clusters, but not as one big cluster like this one, okay? So not one big cluster. They're little clusters. So if I lay those on top of my Life in Full Bloom flowers, which are smaller and more condensed, if I lay those on top, they're just going to cover them up. So I'm gonna put my bigger flowers down first so that when I put my smaller guys on, they don't get covered up. And I'm gonna keep these because I may use them. I love, love, love. Is that baby's breath or something? Is it baby's breath? I don't know. Whatever it is, I like it. It matches perfectly, right? So maybe I'll use it in here. I don't know. The options are so many. Okay, I'm gonna cut this little graph too real quick. Isn't that pretty? I mean, that would be so pretty inside on the white. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that that's taking up the space I wanted to. Okay, I'm gonna probably tape this guy up so we can see what's gonna happen with our burgundy rose transfer. Okay, so, excuse me. All right, so Burgundy Rose Garden. So these are the colors and the flowers in Burgundy Rose Garden. I love these little clusters here, the little branches. This is part of a big swag, so let me turn it this way. See, the other part is on a different sheet. And then you've got these flowers. I mean, they probably could have fit a couple more of those in there, but I'm not, you know, none of my business. So see how big those are? Those would be nice to fit right underneath this to bulk it up. So I bulk it up and I add in my purples at the same time. See what I'm saying? And then these will still show because they're smaller. Okay, so I'm thinking that might be our wiener for this little portion. But then I need to do one at the top. So at the top, I probably want to keep it a little smaller, no? Or the same. I wonder if I could just cut that in half and use both. I bet you I can cut it in half and use both sides of it. So yes, that's what I'm going to do. See, you got to think about things like that. Be economical and resourceful. How can I reuse or use this to the fullest? You know, people are like, gosh, I love the transfers, but they cost this much. And I'm like, well, I guess budget is, it's all relative, but you can stretch out a transfer for so many projects. So, okay, like 3 or 4, depending on how big your project is and how much floral you go with it. You don't have to go crazy with it. I go crazy with my florals, but that doesn't mean you have to. I just like over the top. Not everybody does, you know, so. Okay, so if I cut this, let's see, how do we have it? I liked it like this. No, like this. Okay, so if I cut this off right here, okay, I'll have my little bulk of flowers down here. Then I flip this, and theoretically it should bulk up right there, right? Am I right? Or we just cut it in half and see what happens. In half? Let's just cut it in half. That'll be easier. So these little grid lines make it easier for cutting. You can get out a rotary cutter or a ruler, a metal ruler, you know, or X-Acto or whatever you want. I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm going to cut right straight through the center of these 2 grid lines here. Well, right straight as my eyeballs see it. And cut off that little purple blip there. That's going to look funny. Okay, so now I can put that one down here. And I can flip this and put this one up here. Or the other way around. Or this one down here. And this one up here. I don't know. I think this one might fit better up here because see that little opening in between the flowers there? That guy will peek out. And then down here, it's just kind of this big chunk of hydrangea or whatever it is. And he can kind of actually peek out like that. Or we can put that one there and then cut this guy off and put him up here. Let's do that. So I'm going to start with that one because that way I can get it in the right spot. So I'm going to cut off, wait, what did I say? I'm going to cut off this little guy. Are you following me here? Are you following me? I know I start to do these things and then I just kind of like go off on the little ride my brain takes me on. And hopefully you're not like lost, like what? What? Okay. There's our first little flower. Okay. Is there any questions I need? For my molds, I use Amazing Casting Resin. When you buy it by the gallon, it's just called Alumilite White. So Alumilite White, Amazing Casting. The names of the molds, I showed you some of them, but I can I can show you. I'll post a picture of all 13 if that helps. I'll post a picture here in a little bit with all the mold designs, so that you can, if there's one that you like, you can, you know, find that one on there. But yeah, there's 13 molds. That's a lot. So now I'm going to line up my little guy here where I want him. And I think I want him right around like that. Okay, so I'm going to peel my backing paper off carefully. And I'm going to just lightly, gently place him where I want him in regards to this other transfer. I'm lining it right up on the edge. I suppose I could go all the way around and wrap it around, right? I could wrap it around the side of my piece, my florals, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I have something else planned for these little pillars, or maybe nothing planned for those little pillars. It depends on how the transfers end up looking when I'm done, because it could use a little spot of negative space with nothing on it. So that might be the little space that doesn't have anything on it, but it might not be. So I'm using my little transfer tool. You can get them from Redesign with Prima retailers. It's a fancy schmancy little tool to apply your transfers. Do you have to have this fancy schmancy? No, you don't. Each transfer comes with a little stick, little wooden stick, and those work just fine. In fact, sometimes I prefer them depending on which transfer I'm putting on. I don't know where mine went though. Oh, there it is. A little popsicle stick jobby, similar to. I'm gonna rub it on, rub it on, rub it on, rub it on. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how well we rubbed it on and peel off our acetate. Go. Then I'm going to rub my palm or my finger, whichever floats your boat. I like to use a little bit of both. Okay, see how it sticks fine on the cured decor wax? Sticks fine, it looks good, all that jazz. So now I'm going to put on this piece. Well, no, I got to put on this piece up top first. So which one were we going to? We were going to do this big bulky guy up top, right? And we're going to put him right about in, oh man, I don't know now. Right about in here, I think. Yeah, because he was going to peek through there, right? So right about in there. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and peel off our backing paper on that. And let's see, we want him about here. So let's see, let's go ahead and scooch him on back there. I hope I don't cover up those purple leaves. See those little purple leaves right there? I'm going to try not to cover those up because I love that. Those purple leaves go with my, they go so well with my mold, my moldy look. Okay, so I'm lining up the edge of my transfer with the edge of my, I don't know if you guys can see that little line there on the pillar. Okay, so that's where we want that guy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this down now, carefully, and rub on my background transfers. So I wanted to add my flowers, but I didn't want to cover up all my stenciling. You know, like this, it was pretty. I could have just stopped there at the stenciling and been, you know, okay with that. But you know, I gotta add me in more and more and more, because more is more. More is more. What else can I say? More is more until you stop. You need to stop. But all right. So let's go ahead and peel that off. You want to smooth out any bubbles, wrinkles, any of that jazz that will cause you problems in the long run or the short run. I love those little purple leaves. I wish there was a transfer of all these purple leaves. Just purple leaves. That's it. No flowers, just leaves. Look, see how well it goes with my moldy. Okay, so that's on there. And now we want to put on this guy, and then we'll put on our last little purple job, and then we're done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and peel that away carefully. And take my tape off too, actually. I'm going to be careful not to let the transfer stick on itself. That's bad. Ugh. I know I'm pushing it, right? You're like, oh my God, about to have a heart attack. She's going to ruin that transfer. Yes, I like to live life on the edge. Ugh. Okay. So don't touch the back of your transfer. You don't want to touch the adhesive if you can help it. And let's see, let's line her up right about where we want her, roughly. So I'm finding my right edge, or on your screen, I guess it would be the left edge, but I think we want it right about there would be perfect. Yes, yes, girl, yes. All right, so I'm gonna rub that down, and before I rub it all the way down, I'm gonna cut off some of these around here. So I'm gonna grab a sharp blade, okay? The key word being sharp. You don't want no dull blade. We don't want no dull blade. And I'm just gonna go around. Oh, see, I got some of my purple leaves still. I'm actually gonna cut this off so I can see my purple leaves better. Okay? This purple is better than green. No, actually, that's not true. I love green too. But the reason why I say you need a sharp blade is because if you have a dull blade, it's not going to cut easily. It's just going to mangle up your acetate and your transfer. It's going to mangle instead of cut, and we don't want that. I can keep that flower or that leaf if I want, because I might need it later. But these guys, I'm going to bring them right up to my molding. See, I made this little frame with my molds, okay? I'm going to bring up the transfer right up to the edge of my frame. And then I'm just going to cut flush, or I'm just going to cut right around it so it fits. I'm going to retrofit my transfer, if you will. Okay, you can also do this prior to applying it with, like, you know, just grab a knife or a Sharpie and draw where you need to cut. But I don't find that method as precise as just getting it all the way up in there and then cutting it. That's the best in my book. Okay, so getting it in there. Boom, 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 boom. All right. All right. I think we got all around where we need to cut that. So now we can just cut away what we don't need on there, okay? So let me pull this off real quick. And then I'm gonna take my scissors and just cut off this little white leaf. And then I'm gonna leave my little berries, because they're kind of purpley. They look good, right? My little purple berries. Oops. Antique scrolls. Gosh, what did I say? Vintage something? Vintage scrolls? Yeah, I'm so terrible at remembering the mold names. Well, okay, that's not true. When they're new, it takes me a while to remember all the names. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's rub this on. Then we got one more little flower I want to place, and then I think that's it for this side, unless I get a wild hair, but I think we got plenty, right? I'll just do the same thing to the other side. Obviously, it'll be a little bit different because different, you know, side of the transfer, it'll be different flowers, but it'll take up the same amount of space, be nice and balanced on each side, yada, yada, yada. And when I'm doing this, I don't want to scratch my transfer I already laid. Oh, sorry, you can't see. When I scratch, I don't want to scratch my transfer I already laid, so I'm just going to cover it with an old acetate sheet that I already used and rub on willy-nilly like crazy. Whoa. And when you're layering transfers, the newer ones, you kind of have to use a little bit more oomph to layer them, because sometimes they're a little resistant. I'm not sure why, but you can definitely do it. You just need to use a little more muscle, which is fine. That's good for you. That way you don't have to go to the gym later. You're welcome. Oh, I got my little hook on the end of my transfer tool. It's perfect for this little ridge right here. Perfect for it. Boom. It's like it was made just for that. Weird, right? So that is just for these little grooves, inside areas, drawer edges, things like that, things of that nature. It's perfect. It's like somebody new. Okay, moment of truth. Moment of truth. Oh, sticking, sticking. I don't know if you can see that well up close, but the areas where now I'm on top of that other transfer, it's a little more stubborn. They don't want to kind of come off as well, but they are. Just got to give them a little extra tough love. Go. Oh, sorry. All right, so getting on. Go. Okay, let's see. Come on. Okay, you can do this, little buddy. All right, smooth out any wrinkles and bubbles. And when you're layering those newer transfers, you will definitely have some bubbles and wrinkles. It's kind of satisfying smoothing them out, though, I'm not gonna lie. And popping the bubbles, the little pops. It's oddly satisfying. Yes, it is. Okay, we're almost to the end. We're in the home stretch. All right, there we go. So there's that. We got that one little flower left to place on top, the little purple guy. And then we can step back and make sure that's enough, or if we want to add more, blah, blah, blah. I don't really want to add more. I don't want to cover up any more of my stencils. If I were to add more, it would be to bulk up one of these areas, but I think we're going to be good. I'm going to add that little purple guy right there. Right there, I'm going to cut off a flat edge so I can put it right there. Is that what I said? Or right there? Right there. Okay, and then we'll be done. Anybody have any questions? Am I missing any? Oh, on the top, I think I'm just going to sand it bare and maybe stain it in just like a natural natural kind of honey color just to like bring out the grain a little bit. If the grain is worth doing that too, or some oil or some, probably not oil, I don't like to use oil, but I want it to be a natural look. A natural looking finish. So I might just clear coat it. Who knows? Heck. Might just throw some top coat on the bare wood. That's kind of what the look I'm going for. Because it is a really pretty color. Pretty colored wood. Let's see if this little guy is staying put for us. Yeah, there we go. We got a purple in there. See, and you guys told me Burgundy Rose Garden and Life in Bloom were not going to go together, didn't you? Bunch of pessimists. You bunch of pessimists. So, let's see. Looking at it from, I always have to step back and look at it. Looking at it from afar, I may take, remember these little wispy guys that kind of almost like fountained out? I may take some around my moldings just to give it like a more of a ovally shape. But I mean, they're so subtle, you know, because they match the background color that no big deal. So, but I may do that just to kind of make the let's call it a swag, I guess, make the little swag wrap around my ovally shape there. So that's where we got. Now, after we're all done, we will seal. So your gilding wax or your decor wax needs to be completely cured if you're going to seal over it. I would give it about 24 to 48 hours at least. And the transfers you can seal right away. It's preferred that you seal right away, but I would really try to seal them within 24 hours so they don't dry out and crack or peel or anything like that. But anyways, so that's our stenciling and our layering of the transfers. I'll see you next Thursday right here in the Redesign with Prima group, and we'll do some more fun things with all the redesign goodies. So have a good afternoon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.